Well, it feels like the vibes are beginning to trend in the right direction for Golden State as they have won 4 in a row. They are now 500, and they have an opportunity for the first time since November 12th to move above 500. This is Warriors Live. My name is Evan Giddings here on 95.7 The Game. We are presented by Xfinity, the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming live sports. The Golden State Warriors get the Portland Trail Blazers tonight, a team they have already seen a couple of times this season. Again, Golden State 14-14. Portland enters at 7-20. Continuing the home sweet home tour for the Warriors. Since that end of, a tough road stretch, losing 12 of 16, they return home, and they have really made the most of their midst of this homestand. 11 of 13 at home. They got 7 of the next 8 at Chase Center, including tonight. And, of course, they're trying to build on what they did last night to the Washington Wizards, winning 129-118. Stephen Curry, in just 27 minutes, did not play the fourth quarter, made a season-high 8 threes, en route to a game-high 30 points. And, again, the 4th consecutive win in a row, the 7th consecutive home win for the Golden State Warriors as their streak of close games, defined as clutch games, did finally come to a close. They'd played 14 in a row of those games in which they'd been within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. So it was really nice to see the Warriors get a stress-free victory against a Wizards team in town that, of course, had only 5 wins to that point in the season. So that was a game last night in which the Warriors, led by as many as 23, did trim it down to 11. The Wizards did down the stretch there, but the Warriors really made their run in the third quarter with 6:11 left in the third. The Warriors went on a 16-3 run, eventually led at that point by 21, pushed it to as many as 23. It was a good night for Jonathan Kuminga, who tallied 22 points on just 11 shots. Klay Thompson added 20. Dario Saric also contributed 13 off the bench, and then Brandon Podziemski had 10 points in his return to the starting lineup, as well as 7 rebounds. And something we do want to highlight throughout Warriors Live is the fact that these rookies right now, the combination of Podziemski along with Trace Jackson-Davis, who had his second consecutive double-double, have been helping the Warriors in a lot of ways in which they have needed it. And it looks like the combination of young and the old, a goal that was supposed to be for the season a year ago, is finally coming to fruition in a positive fashion. And again, it has all been due to this new kind of starting lineup for the Golden State Warriors, one of which that after the game against Phoenix 5 games ago, they are 4-1. The combination of Kuminga, Curry, Klay, Podziemski, and Looney, who, to his credit, has done some good things, played a little bit better last night, but he's been kind of the fifth man, the fifth center, so to speak, within this 4-man primary rotation that has looked like this over the last 5 games. And this is something that I've kind of been curious about. Well, the record's been really good. And the second unit, to their credit, hasn't really fallen off throughout the entire season. They are 3rd in the league as far as points scored by bench units. They've outscored opponents in the majority of contests this year. So it's really all about being, how can you extract or unlock the starting lineup to play and help what the second unit has been able to supplement this season? Well, we know Curry, he's been playing well, averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds over 33 minutes in his last 5 games. Of course, he had a ho-hum 30 for 30 last night, but he's shooting 43% from 3. So Curry has been absolutely on par. Klay Thompson has been the one to me that's really stuck out with what he's done in the last 5 games. And to me, he's a kind of guy that I think people have always wondered, the sensitivity of Klay Thompson, right? Is this a guy that can take criticism well? Is this a guy that could handle a demotion? Is this a guy that can, take the negative and turn it into a positive? Well, to his credit, Klay Thompson has done that since being benched in the fourth quarter against Phoenix, because in his last 5 games, he's averaging 25 points per game and also 33 minutes while shooting 50% from the floor and 48% from three-point range. So Klay has been a big reason why this starting lineup is now 4-1. And then you look at the young guys, the 2 guys that were moved into the starting rotation, one of which because you had a starting spot come open due to Draymond Green's indefinite suspension. But then also, with Andrew Wiggins not playing necessarily as well as of late, Jonathan Kuminga has had an opportunity, and he has taken it and ran with it. Though he's only playing 25 minutes across the last 5 games in which he started, Kuminga's averaging 15 and 5 on a gaudy 64% shooting and a 50% shooting from downtown. Half he has made of his threes this year, and you saw it kind of culminate in last night, 9 for 11 from the floor, 22 points. Did get to the line once and make both of his free throws, but the tip slam, being able to cut, making good passes, Kuminga has really made the most of his starting opportunities. And then Brandon Podziemski, though the numbers might not stand out at you on paper, he's playing 25 minutes over the last 5. He's averaging 10 points, 6 rebounds, which is impressive, but he's only shooting 38% from the floor, 31% from 3. But this is really where he has been a glue guy and a guy that I think is going to stick for the Warriors, whether it continues to be in the starting lineup or off the bench. This is a rookie that absolutely has deserved time and needs more time because he's got a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio over those 5 games. And Brandon Podziemski, quietly this year, has been involved in a few of the Warriors' best lineups. You look at the Warriors right now, best 5-man lineups, according to Plus Minus. And granted, it's a small sample size. It's been 24 minutes. But the combination of Podziemski, Clay, Kuminga, Chris Paul, and Dario Saric are a plus 60 in those 24 minutes. And Podziemski has also been able to do the other things on the floor, like drawing 11 charges this year, which is tied for 4th most among all players in the NBA. So again, the starting lineup changes have paid dividends for the Golden State Warriors, and they hope to keep that rolling again tonight. A 5th consecutive win is on the horizon if they're able to beat the Portland Trail Blazers here at Chase Center tonight. Tip-off is at 5:30. We're going to send you at the top of the hour out to Tim Roy along with Tom Tolbert. They'll have your play-by-play action, but Tim's got the rest of your pregame coverage here on 95.7 The Game, so that'll be at 5 o'clock. Tip-off at 5:30 at Chase Center tonight for the Warriors and the Blazers. And that brings us to tonight's injury report, brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back on track for over 40 years. For more information, visit boxerlaw.com. For the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins is out again tonight with an illness. He missed last night's game. Again, wasn't necessarily needed with the way that the Warriors were able to handle the Wizards, but something to monitor. Has been dealing with an illness as of late. Was questionable a couple of games before he missed last night. He is going to be out again tonight, according to Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Gary Payton II is also out, of course, still nursing his right calf strain that he hurt a few weeks back, and he is going to be undergoing reevaluation each and every week, was participating in light practices, so it appears to be trending in the right direction. And then finally, of course, Draymond Green out with a league suspension. So 3 rotation players, 3 of the Warriors' best defensive players, by the way, all out tonight. And Green and Payton continue to be. Wiggins is out this evening. Podziemski did show up on the injury list with a lower back soreness. Remember, 2 games ago against Boston, he left just before halftime with a lower back strain. Listed as probable, assuming that he is going to play tonight, and assuming that this starting lineup, which we just talked about, its effectiveness and leading to a 4-1 record, probably going to be involved in that should he be able to go, which he is expected to this evening. Meanwhile, on the Blazers side, looking at one kind of, I guess, recent injury that's of some effect, and that's Shaedon Sharpe, who's dealing with an adductor injury as well as some soreness. He is going to be out tonight, and then Robert Williams III and missing plenty of time with his right knee ligament tear. But Shaedon Sharpe is someone that the Blazers have had featured in their starting lineup and has made a nice leap. And I don't mean that facetiously because he's a really high flyer, but he's made a big leap for them this season. Also listed as probable is Toumani Camara. Again, we saw him up in Portland on Sunday. Gave the Blazers some decent minutes, so he's dealing with a right thumb sprain, but he is listed as probable as of now. Starting lineups are going to be released in just a little bit. But what's kind of the effect of the Sharpe absence? So to me, the Blazers, look, they're a 7-win team right now. They're in a state of rebuild. Lots of trades. Of course, you move off of Damian Lillard this offseason. You bring in Jrue Holiday to then flip them, go out and get some pieces. You're stockpiling picks. Right now, this is a front office that is trying to essentially rebuild the roster. And you got some guys, Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson was their number 1 pick this year. You got a lot of young players that we're going to see tonight, but Shaedon Sharpe has been a nice addition for them this season. So what they're going to be missing from the 20-year-old, just about 21 years old in a couple months, but he is 20 as of now, is 17 points and 5 rebounds, and he's shooting 36% from 3. So you got less athleticism on the floor on the Portland side, and you're also missing one of your best scorers who's taken a really big step now in his second season. So going to be without Sharpe tonight. And that takes us to our eye on the stats. So one of the themes last night, it really has been over the last 5-6 games has been, the emergence of, yes, the young players. Kuminga, Moody was a positive last night as well in the win against Washington, but Podziemski into the starting lineup, and then, of course, Trayce Jackson-Davis, who's been a rookie revelation in the last few games. You take a look at what he has done and what Brandon Podziemski has done. Well, 2 double-doubles in consecutive games by Trayce Jackson-Davis. We talked about the stat last night. The only other rookies to do that this season as far as points and rebounds are Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama, the 2 top picks from this year, and then Chet Holmgren from a season ago. So you look at, though, the Warriors as far as what rookies have done in comparison. Trayce Jackson-Davis is becoming the first Warriors rookie since Stephen Curry to accomplish the feat of 2 consecutive double-doubles. So some very good names brought up there. And he's the first Warriors rookie to record a consecutive double-double coming off the bench since 1988. So this guy is doing some historic things right now. And, of course, any statistic in which your name is involved with a guy named Curry, you're doing all right. Meanwhile, on the Brandon Podziemski side, this is a player that right now is racking up rebounds at a rate that we simply have not seen for, again, you look at Warriors rookies, since all the way back in 2001. Podziemski has 5 or more rebounds in 10 games, the longest streak for a Warriors rookie since Mark Jackson, not the old Warriors head coach, but Mark Jackson, who did it in 12 straight games in the 2000-2001 season. So right now you are getting production and positive impact from the 2 rookies. Again, number 19 overall, number 56 overall from the most recent draft for Golden State. And that is your Eye on the Stats, brought to you by the Goodman Eye Center. When it comes to your vision, be sure to go with a winning team. Go to Dr. Daniel Goodman and his team at the Goodman Eye Center. The choice of champions. Schedule a free consultation at GoodmanEyeCenter.com. And that is what is involved in my Take It to the Bank prediction here tonight. Again, Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Live, about 15 minutes away from sending things out to Tim Roy, and then, of course, a 5:30 tip-off between the Warriors and the Blazers. But the Take It to the Bank prediction tonight, brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises, is 5 or more rebounds for Brandon Podziemski, because assuming that he plays and he's listed as probable, I think he's going to be averaging close to 30 minutes again tonight. A team in Portland that is going to be taking a lot of jump shots. There's going to be a lot of loose balls. And the one thing that Pods has continued to do is show a knack for the ball. And he always seems to be around it. Obviously, he's a smart player. The 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio would show you that he knows how to take care of the basketball offensively. But what he's able to do as far as cleaning up defensive rebounds and cleaning up possessions for the Warriors defense, I think has been huge. And he also, he sticks his head into the trees on the offensive side. Sometimes he'll come away with the rebound. Sometimes he'll kind of poke it, but he always makes things difficult. And you always have to be cognizant of where he is on the court, not necessarily as a scoring threat right now, but because of how difficult he can make possessions for the opposition, how he can extend possessions, how he can make a pass at a proper time, whether it's a screen in the right spot. He always seems to know where to be. And so for me, you can book 5 rebounds for Brandon Podziemski. I also think Trayce Jackson-Davis is going to get 20 or more minutes tonight, because Kevon Looney, though he played better last night in an extended stretch during the third quarter, only received 11 minutes. He kind of got some cameo minutes and has been getting cameo minutes as a 5th starter for the Warriors. But I think something was very telling last night that will lead to more time for Trayce Jackson-Davis, and that was Steve Kerr's comparison from TJD to one Andrew Bogut. And for Warriors fans who, of course, were around for the beginning of the dynasty, know the importance of Andrew Bogut, not just in his relation as far as the trade in which sent Monte Ellis to Milwaukee for Andrew Bogut, which to a lot of people's estimation kind of kickstarted what we now know as Golden State Warriors basketball and that successful run, but also just the way that he played. He was the perfect player for that system as a guy who did not need the ball, could be a rim-running threat, could catch lobs, could obviously impact the defensive end of the court, but was also a sneaky good athlete and a really good passer. So last night on Warriors Wrap-Up, when I was thinking about this quote from Steve Kerr, to me, Andrew Bogut was a player that is certainly better as a passer currently, but I think that TJD does have Bogut-like tendencies. And we'll see. He's given up a little bit of size. Bogut was a true 7-footer. TJD 6'9", 6'10". But what he has shown himself to do on both ends of the court, to me, has been a big reason why the Warriors can look at themselves and say, okay, we're going to match big with big. We haven't had a player like that who could play from above the rim as a 5 really since I would say 2018 or 2019, a guy who can be a lob threat. And it gives you such a different dynamic offensively and just something that defenses have to be aware of. And more importantly, that bigs have to be aware of. And I think that also opens things up for the Warriors guards, not just Stephen Curry, but for someone like Chris Paul, who TJD has been playing alongside and mirroring minutes with quite a bit so far in his young career. That also opens up the mid-range for Chris Paul. And I thought we saw him be a little more decisive, CP3 that is, with trying to attack the paint, get that pull-up around the free throw line or even a little bit further in, whether it's a fadeaway, whether it's a straight-up shot. I think that's going to open up more offensively for someone like CP3, who is not the scoring threat that he certainly used to be, but it also allows him to not just be the facilitator, and it doesn't allow bigs to just clog the paint or it forces them to make the decision of whether they are to clog the paint or they want to step out and contest. And that's where CP3, as an incredible decision maker, is able to hurt you with maybe, a mid-range jump shot that's coming along, or, of course, that lob threat in which he's going to put the ball in the perfect place at the perfect time. So to me, Podziemski, 5 rebounds for him tonight, I think should be expected. I also hope that Trayce Jackson-Davis can find his way onto the floor for 20 minutes if he's playing well, because the last couple of games, you look at the box score, you see plus 20, plus 25 against Boston. This guy has been a big reason for victories as of late for the Golden State Warriors. What's on tap tonight between the Warriors and the Blazers? Again, at Chase Center, 5:30 tip as you're listening to Warriors Live. My name is Evan Giddings here on 95.7 The Game, a Portland team that right now is coming back to Golden State, a place they lost to the Warriors all the way back on December 6th. And, of course, they saw them on December 17th. Remember that December 6th game, I believe, was a result of the Warriors getting bounced from the play-in tournament. So the Warriors have had to see Portland 3 times in a short stretch right before the end of the new year. And it's honestly been a pretty good time for the Warriors because they caught Portland on December 6th during an up and down kind of win-loss period before, of course, those 6 consecutive losses in the middle of November. But you also look at now a chance to clean up some W's heading into the new year or heading into the Christmas Day game with Denver. And so to me, if we're talking about what's on tap, by the way, brought to you by Farmers Brewing. Have you tried Farmers Brewing yet? If not, it's time to put your lips on a Farmer. I think this is an important game for the Warriors from this standpoint. Obviously, you don't want to lose or you don't necessarily expect to lose to a team like Portland, and the Warriors are going to be favored in this game. But to me, this homestand has been important, and this is the conclusion of this extension of the homestand. The Warriors have to clean up these games because of what they have coming up and also the work that they've done thus far. Now, a loss here tonight doesn't, you go 4-1 of the homestand, you get the win against Boston, it's not for naught. But with a chance to move above 500 going into a Christmas Day game against Denver, which is going to be tough, you have an opportunity to kind of level and calm the seas officially, in my opinion, and give yourself an idea of what this basketball team is capable of, not just in one game, not just in 2 or 3, but over an extended period of time, over the course of a full week. Because you look at what the team has done, it all started last Saturday against Brooklyn, being able to eke out a win against the Nets and survive that game at home. Then a tough, home and road back-to-back, going to Portland and winning a game in which Curry didn't make a 3. That was also, to me, impressive. You bring that back home against Boston. You will your way to a victory in which you have emerging role players, big contributions against the best team in the East, and you get your most important win of the season, and then you take care of business in a stress-free fashion against a Washington Wizards team that you should beat. Now, it's a back-to-back. There's going to be some tired legs, but I think for the Warriors to get a win here tonight, no matter how it gets done, you'd like to do it going away, but no matter how it gets done, that to me would signify a change and a turn for this Warriors team that we've been looking for really since the middle of November. And we've been wondering which side of 500 this team is playing on. I've always felt like they were the team that was closer to the 6-2 start than the team that was 4 games below 500 at 10-14. But now with the 4 wins and a 5 potentially on the schedule, you have a chance to get back above 500, and I think that is going to be huge for the Warriors from the standpoint of this individual game in the totality of where they're at in the season. I'm also, I know you can't necessarily look ahead, but it's our job to do so, and you look at the games that are coming up. So this 5-game homestand, I think Brooklyn's a good opponent. Portland, Washington, Portland are teams you should beat, and then Boston is a really good team, so that's an excellent win. But you look at what they got coming up, because this is the longest home stretch of the season. I think it was 12 of 13 games coming in. Now the next 7 of 8 are going to be at home, sprinkled in the Christmas Day game with Denver. But you look at those teams on the opposite side of Christmas Day. 7 games at home, but they're very different from the 5 that we saw this week outside of Boston, because you got Miami, Dallas, Orlando, Denver again, and then Detroit, Toronto, and New Orleans. To me, the Detroit and Toronto games are winnable against teams below 500 at this point. But, the Warriors really, like the Miami Heat, 17-win team, 5th place in the East. Orlando, 4th place in the East, tied with Miami. Denver, obviously, as a 3 seed right now with a 20-win schedule to their point. The Warriors got some tough opponents coming up on the opposite side, and while I think they're looking to turn a corner, which should give them some confidence going into those games, I think that just from a scheduling standpoint, those are games in which you could win, you also could lose. And so for me, getting this game here today is going to clean up a lot of potential damage that might be done over the next 7. By the way, is the longest homestand of the season. And so even if you go 3-4 over the next 7 games, you'd like to get to 4-3, see if you can get to 5-2. But if you're 3-4, then even if you lose on Christmas, you're a game below 500 at that point going into your next road trip. And then maybe you get Draymond back, maybe you get GP2 back. You start to reintegrate these pieces, and then you get a better, clearer picture look of where this Warriors team is actually at in regards to the season and their aspirations, of course, with about 3 weeks at that point left before the trade deadline. So big picture, this is an important game to signify where the Warriors are at. You can complete a 5-game homestand. That is certainly nothing to scoff at, even if some of the opponents have been beatable. And there is one on your ledger again tonight in the Portland Trailblazers. So they're going to be missing Shaedon Sharpe. The Warriors will be missing Andrew Wiggins. And we will get you out to Tim Roye and Chase Center in just a few moments. We appreciate you tuning in to this edition of Warriors Live. Be back after the game for Warriors Wrap-Up. My name is Evan Giddings. Coming up, Tim Roye, and then tip-off, 5:30 between the Warriors and the Blazers, and your home for Warriors basketball, 95.7 The Game. You've been listening to Warriors Live, presented by the Xfinity 10G Network, the best way to stream live sports.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Total Wine & More, the 8th wonder of the world. Come marvel at our new location on Harrison Street with a huge free parking lot. Let our helpful guide